There is a weapon sitting in a Russian silo right now that the United States has no defense against, not the Patriot, not THAAD, not the $67 billion worth of interceptor missiles and radar networks America has spent the last 2 decades building. None of it can stop what Russia quietly deployed in December 2019. It travels at Mach 20 times the speed of sound, faster than any bullet ever fired from any weapon in history. And unlike a traditional ballistic missile, which follows a predictable arc through space that any radar system can track, this weapon maneuvers. It changes direction mid-flight, unpredictably, constantly, making every targeting calculation obsolete the moment it's made. This is the Avangard Hypersonic glide vehicle, and it is just one of 6 weapons Russia has built specifically to make America's entire defense architecture irrelevant. Today we're going through all of them. What's real? What's exaggerated? And which ones are genuinely keeping American defense planners awake at night? Because the honest answer is more complicated than either side wants to admit. To understand these weapons, you have to go back to 2001. That year, the United States withdrew from the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty.
In accordance with the treaty, that the United States of America is withdrawing from this almost 30-year-old treaty.
A Cold War agreement that had kept both sides from building large-scale missile defense systems, specifically because both sides understood that if one country could shoot down the other's missiles, it might feel safe enough to launch first. Russia watched America withdraw from that treaty and made a decision. If America builds a missile shield capable of intercepting Russian nuclear missiles, then 60 years of building the world's largest nuclear arsenal suddenly becomes worthless. The entire foundation of Russian deterrence neutralized by a defensive wall. So Putin made a promise. Russia would respond by developing weapons that no defense system could ever stop. For 17 years, nobody outside Russia knew exactly what that looked like. Then in March 2018, Putin walked into the Russian Federal Assembly and showed the world 6 weapons, each one targeting a specific vulnerability in America's defense. The Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile, the Kinjal air-launched hypersonic missile, the Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle, the Burevestnik laser system, the Poseidon nuclear-powered underwater drone, and the Burevestnik nuclear-powered cruise missile. 6 weapons. One message. Your missile defense cannot stop all of these simultaneously. So let's go through the ones that actually matter, starting with the one that genuinely changes the equation. The Avanguard is the weapon America's analysts talk about least publicly and worry about most privately. Here's exactly why. The Avanguard is a boost glide system that rides atop an intercontinental ballistic missile before separating to glide toward its target at speeds reportedly exceeding Mach 20. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that follow predictable parabolic trajectories, a hypersonic glide vehicle maneuvers through the atmosphere at extreme velocities, making interception difficult and unreliable with current technology. A traditional ICBM warhead goes up. It comes down. The trajectory is predictable from the moment of launch. America's missile defense was built specifically to intercept warheads on that predictable arc in space before they re-enter the atmosphere. The Avangard doesn't follow that arc. It glides at Mach 20 through the upper atmosphere, changing altitude, changing direction, constantly. No current interceptor can reliably solve a targeting problem that updates faster than any computer can calculate. The Avangard entered operational service in December 2019, making Russia the first country to deploy a hypersonic glide vehicle with intercontinental range. But here's where it gets complicated. According to the Nonpartisan Congressional Research Service, Avangard does not change the existing balance between Russian offensive and US defensive forces. Russia already had enough nuclear missiles to overwhelm American defenses before Avangard existed. The glide vehicle doesn't give Russia new options it didn't already have strategically. What it does do is close off any future scenario where American missile defense becomes effective enough to neutralize Russia's deterrent. It's not a weapon built for today's war. It's a weapon built to win the arms race of the next 30 years. Now, Avangard is a strategic nuclear weapon. It exists to deter, to threaten, not to be used in conventional conflict. The weapon Russia has actually fired in combat is something entirely different. In Russian, it means dagger. Carried by MiG, 31K interceptors, and Tu-22 M3 bombers, Russia claims a top speed of Mach 10 with a range of up to 1,250 miles. It is nuclear capable and has been used repeatedly in Ukraine with conventional warheads. Russia called it unstoppable. State media declared it could penetrate any air defense system on Earth. Then something happened that nobody in Moscow wanted to discuss. Ukrainian forces successfully intercepted Kinjal missiles using US-supplied Patriot systems in May 2023 and multiple times since. The unstoppable hypersonic weapon got stopped by a Patriot battery, an air defense system America built decades ago. How? Because Kinjal follows a predictable ballistic trajectory, unlike the other hypersonic systems. Its speed and lack of maneuverability may make it not a true hypersonic weapon in the most meaningful sense. The myth of the invincible Russian hypersonic weapon, Ukraine already punctured it. But the Zircon is a different story. The Zircon is a naval hypersonic cruise missile that entered serial production in 2024, launched from both surface ships and submarines. Unlike the Kinjal, the Zircon maneuvers in its terminal phase as it descends into thicker air, making it both faster and significantly harder to track. The Zircon's combat use in Ukraine marked the world's first ever confirmed combat test of a hypersonic glide vehicle, a hypersonic missile, launched from a submarine, maneuvering in terminal phase, with almost no warning time, against a carrier strike group. Analysts expect the Zircon to target aircraft carriers, missile defense systems, and command and control centers. That combination, submarine stealth plus genuine hypersonic maneuverability, is the version of this technology that genuinely concerns American naval planners in ways the land-based Kinjal simply doesn't. But even the Zircon isn't the weapon that generates the most serious private discussions in American defense circles. That would be something operating not in the sky, but deep beneath the ocean. In 2015, a Russian state television camera accidentally captured footage of a classified document on a general's desk. The document described a new weapon, an autonomous nuclear-armed underwater drone, designed to travel across entire ocean basins at depth, undetected, and detonate a nuclear warhead close enough to a coastal city to generate a radioactive tsunami. The leak was almost certainly intentional. The Poseidon is an unmanned, nuclear-powered underwater vehicle. Available information indicates a diameter between 5 and 7 feet, with length estimates of 66 to 80 feet. Speed estimates range from 55 to 100 knots, with a range of up to 5,400 nautical miles. It is propelled by a low-weight, compact, gas-cooled nuclear reactor. Putin confirmed successful testing of the Poseidon in October 2025. The Russian Navy has announced plans to procure at least 30 Poseidon, deploying them on 4 submarines, 2 in the Northern Fleet and 2 in the Pacific Fleet. But here's the honest assessment. Poseidon's actual capabilities remain unclear. While it may be harder to detect than manned submarines, it is not undetectable. It's subject to the same limitations as other underwater systems. Then there's Burevestnik. NATO calls it Skyfall. The defining feature of Burevestnik is its nuclear propulsion system. Its small onboard nuclear reactor gives it effectively unlimited range. Since it's a cruise missile, Burevestnik can hug the ground on approach at altitudes below enemy radar's ability to detect, making interception challenging, if not impossible. No traditional ballistic flight trajectory and no range limits means there's no point where defenses can be deployed en masse to stop it. According to US estimates, out of at least 13 tests between 2016 and 2019, only 2 were even partially successful. The concept is terrifying. The operational reality, still uncertain. Both experts agree these weapons exist primarily as political messages. These weapons were introduced to show that Russia could still retaliate. Russia's propaganda says these weapons are invincible. Some Western voices dismiss them as pure theater. The truth is somewhere in the middle, and that middle ground is exactly where the next arms race is being fought right now. America is investing in the hypersonic and ballistic tracking space satellite, HBTSS, tracking hypersonic weapons from orbit before they can maneuver into position, developing new SM-6 interceptor variants, upgrading Patriot systems with the lessons learned from Ukraine. The arms race that everyone said ended in 1991 never actually stopped. Which of Russia's weapons do you think represents the real threat to America right now? The Avanguard that current systems can't intercept? The Zircon hunting carrier groups? Or the Poseidon sitting on the ocean floor? Drop it in the comments. That debate matters more than most people realize.